What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Newage Hephaestus, their version of a legend scale Devastator. So this I got from Toy Dojo. It was actually a full set. I believe this is on their website right now available. If you're interested, you can go buy this as a full set. I haven't looked at the individual bots because I did get it all together just recently. So we're going to take a look at the full set, the full combiner. Later I'll come back and do individual reviews for these robots. They're actually really good. But today we're just going to take a look at the vehicle modes and then combine them together. So let's take a look at each one of these before we get it transformed. So here is Bone Crusher. You do have the purple there. That's actually painted there. The rest is just the orange plastic. You do have a tiny little, actually this is supposed to be up like that. So you have a little seat there. That looks nice. And here is Scavenger. And he looks nice. He does have some articulation here. So the things go all the way back, bends down, and then the scoop can actually go back and forward. You can rotate the cab there, and that looks really nice. Only a little bit of paint here on the window, but that looks good. Next we have Scrapper. Scrapper does have painted wheels. The wheels do roll. And pretty good looking. You do have this articulation here, so 1, 2, 3 points of articulation on that scooper there. Next we have Mixmaster. You can see he's got some silver paint, some blue paint there for the windows, or purple paint there. It does roll. The barrel doesn't twist or anything, but it does transform for the combined mode and actually for the robot mode. So that's really nice looking. And then we have Hook. Hook does open up like this. You have a, what I believe is a piece of die cast. It feels really nice. It looks nice. So you can get all the way up to there. You can collapse that down. It can just sit like that in front. Again, this one does roll as well. Here's the back. Relatively clean. You got some paint there. Purple paint here, purple on the side of the hook. All that looks good. And lastly, we have Long Haul here. And he's got the silver painted wheels. He does roll as well. The dump truck can't actually open and dump because of the transformation, so you can pretend that he's dumping stuff, and that looks nice. Alright, so let's get this into the combined mode. First, let me show you this. So here is the torso, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, this is parts forming. Yes, it is parts forming. Now, the Toy World version also had, basically from the waist down, it had all of this. It did have the chest piece, and then it had ab pieces, and the head, obviously. So this is the only difference between this and the Toy World is really the torso here and the shell for the arm, which we didn't have on Toy World. Now, you do have a button here on the side, and unfortunately I don't have the batteries. They're very specific AG3s, and I just don't happen to have them. I did order them, but I'm not going to have it in time for this review. So I will come back and take a look at that, but there you go. He also has a gun that lights up as well, and again, I don't have the batteries. I did order them, but we'll take a look at that in the next review when we do these individual bot modes. Alright, so let's get him ready to combine. So first off, take Long Haul here. I'm going to separate the legs here, and this is going to actually go into the body. So go ahead and rotate that down and leave this open on the back. And that's kind of ready to go in. Let's come to the back here and open up his back like that. Take this, you can see there's 2 little slots there. They're going to fit onto here. And then there's a slot back here that's going to fit onto that tab right there. So go ahead and get this in and get that pushed down. Fold this up straight like so. You can actually take the wheels and get those out of the way, so let's do that. So open up the wheel, and it just gives it a little bit more space. You don't have to do it, and it's not in the instructions, but I just like to do that so that it's got some clearance. Right, so now that we have that, go ahead and close this down. You can see there's 2 tabs on the back of this and that's going to get pegged into his back right here. So get that in there, and it is a little bit tricky. Get that all lined up. There we go. And then once you get that in, go ahead and close this up, and that's going to kind of lock it in place. All right, so there's the back. Come to the front here, open up this, and these are actually pegged in, so let me just show you how that works. There's a little tab right there, so when you first get it, you're going to have to unpeg that tab and then open this up, and then same on this side, and open this up. All right, next we're going to take a hook here, open up the hook, and we're going to lift up here and pull the waist away, and you can see you have this joint here. Rotate the hands down, close the hand up. You can do that on both sides. And then rotate this to the side, fold this panel down so there's two tabs here holding this together, and get those pegged in. And that should kind of sit nice and securely there. So here's what it looks like from the back. Take this here, this is going to sit inside of here. So get this situated. There's one tab right there. Let's see. I guess that's it. I don't know if there's any other tabs holding. So make sure you hit that one tab and just get that nice and secure in there. Take this, bring this down, and that's just going to sit on top. Then go ahead and take the arms, and these are going to peg back in to the side, and then clip them in so they stay in place. Same with this side. Fold that up, tab that in, and then clip it in place. And that kind of holds that entire torso into place. Kind of a cool little way they did that. All right, next let's work on the legs. So let's start with Mixmaster. So for Mixmaster, we're going to have to take them apart a little bit here. So go ahead and open up this right here that's tabbed in and kind of stretch out the legs. We do have to get these little panels out of here, and you may need a spudger or something like that to get these out. So kind of open this up, and we got to get this metal bars here out of here. So these are actually die-cast pieces here, which is nice. And we'll get this one out of here too. You can probably do it with your hand too, but all right, so get those folded all the way back out. So this is going to peg into the back of the truck. There's two slots there and two tabs right here. So get that pegged in. And make sure you extend these all the way. Next you're going to take this, and that's going to fold downwards. And you can see those two are going to go right into the top. So get that pegged into the top of the truck. And that's what you should have when you're done. And you can see he's got that articulation there on the foot. Go ahead and open up this back piece here. This is going to lift upwards and extend. Go ahead and come to here, and now we're going to attach this thing. So this is going to go, actually sorry, keep this closed. You can see there's two slots there, so get those in. And then take this, and that's going to push into here and kind of secure the entire leg into place. So there's one leg all set. Next we'll do scrapper. I always forget their names. So go ahead and pull the arms outwards, rotate them to the other side, and then you're going to peg right back in. You can see there's a little slot and a tab. Really smart stuff on these transformations, but go ahead and do the same here. And then open this up. I like to take this and fold that down just so it covers up that hole, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Then I like to also take this and collapse it down just a bit. Right. And then take these hands, and I like to fold them to the back just for a little bit of a, what do you call it, heel spur. You can use those hands as a heel spur back there. Right, so he's pretty much ready. Open this up here. This is going to open up here. And then take that, and that's going to fit around this peg you see on the bottom of his knee. So push those together, and then take this, and that's going to peg in back into there. And there he is with his two legs. We'll work on the arms. So this one is probably the easiest. Let's just do that. Go ahead and take this panel here and fold this down. Take the roof, and that's going to collapse down like that and flatten. So you got a nice flat look. There's 1, 2, 3 slots. Those are going to fit on the 3 slots on the side of the arm. And then his head is going to fit right into that slot there. So you got to line that up. Make sure you have the head straight and fitting through that hole. It's easiest if you kind of lift it up and look what you've got going on there. So you can see I need to adjust the head just a little bit. There we go. You can see I got that square gray head through. And give that a nice push so it's secured onto there. All right, and for the final arm here, come to the side and we'll take bone crusher or scavenger. Go ahead and fold this down. That's probably the most compact. That's fine. Unpeg these from the bottom. So those are just pegged into the bottom of the truck there, or the vehicle. And just open these up. That'll give you a little bit of room. And you have to get this pegged onto his arm here. You can see there's a slot right there that's going to fit onto that slot. And then on the top, you have this hole that's going to fit into that tab on the top of his arm. So get all that in. And this is probably the more tricky part of the entire thing, but not too bad still. All right, so get that pegged in on both, and then take the legs, and the legs are going to peg in on those 2 tabs. So get those in as well. And there we have Hephaestus in his combined mode. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right. It may be right, it may be wrong. But really cool looking. Here's the side. Here's the back. I did forget to mention a couple key things. So number 1, you do want to fold these wheels flat so that they sit flat on the ground. And then this has to actually collapse down. So you need to have this basically even. As you can see, they're even now. So I had to collapse Scrapper down. But really cool looking. He has a ton of articulation. Let's go over that. The head is on a ball joint. Goes up to there, down to there. Really far down, which is good for a combiner like this. You do have the side to side here. It is very tight. You just have to move it. As far as the head's concerned, you can open up the top here. You can take the visor. It is a very thin piece of plastic. Just be careful. But there you go. He's got the red eyes now instead of the visor, if you prefer that. This is all painted. The visor and the head and the face are all painted. All right, continuing downwards, you have the articulation here on the chest. You can get that kind of out of the way if you're trying to do a crazy pose or something like that. The shoulders rotate here on this joint. It is on a screw, so if you need to tighten, you can. It goes up to there on a friction joint. You have a rotation at the bicep. You have a single joint at elbow, but it gets you pretty far. Inside there is a nice die cast piece, and that looks really nice and professional. I love the way they did that. You have a rotation at the wrist. You have an in and out dice roll at the wrist. You have individually articulated fingers. So the thumb is on a swivel. Each of the fingers is on a ball joint, and then a second joint on the inner, so you can get them doing whatever you want. He can do stop. He can do peace. I mean, he can do everything. So really, really nice hands. One of the best I would expect on a legend scale figure. Your rotation at the waist. You do have an ab crunch, so if you do it wrong, you might end up opening this up. So just to show you, you don't want to bend this. That's not the ab crunch. It's down here. So rotation at the waist I already mentioned. He has hip skirts here on all 3 sides. They are nice and tight. Leg goes up to there on friction, back to the side, and then out to the side on a ratchet joint. I don't know why, but they put the first ratchet pretty wide out, but you can get some composes out. I just want to mention that. Rotation at the upper thigh or hip. You have a double jointed knee on a ratchet, and you got the die cast piece in there. That's really well done. That looks great. You have a ankle tilt all the way up to there. And you have, if you want to go backwards, you can, although it kind of loosens up his legs, so you don't really want to do that. And you have a rotation at the foot. And that's true for both. You have a rotation, and if you unpeg this, or not that, I'm sorry, here, if you unpeg that, you can get it back like that. So you really get plenty of movement on this guy. It does come with the one accessory, and I did mention it does have the button here. Unfortunately, I did not have the batteries in time for this review. Just a plain purple plastic, and that can fit in his hand. Open this up. Typical style tab in the palm. This fits very, very securely in here. It's not going anywhere. But there you go for that. That looks really good. Now for kind of a crazy comparison, there it is next to the Toy World Constructor. This is a Masterpiece Scale Devastator. And you can see the difference. I didn't care about the size, really. What I want to look at is the proportions. You can see Toy World Constructor is really just really thick, right? The legs are thick, the calves and thighs overall are thick, so you can kind of see the difference. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the final thoughts. And for another comparison, there it is next to the Core Class Optimus from Hasbro, and then also the Takara Tomy version, the Exosuit Daniel. Looks pretty good. I think it's going to fit in perfectly with your Legends collection. Unfortunately, I don't have my Legends handy here. I just sent them all back to their owners, but I think it's going to fit in perfectly with the Newage collection, or really any Legend scale. So final thoughts on the Newage Hephaestus. Let's start with the positives. I really think the articulation and the overall look and sculpt of this is really well done. It's really fun to pose. I don't normally do poses like this, but it was fun to pose. I also like the little accents and features like the die-cast knees, the die-cast elbows, the painted forearms, and then the automorphing thighs you get, things like that. All of that kind of stuff looks really good. I also like the die-cast heel spurs here, and then the heel spurs on the back of the arms. That just helps with stability. One thing that doesn't help negatives-wise is this joint right here where it pegs in. It does get kind of loose, so if you're not careful, that can pop out and he can fall down. So I would suggest you put a little four polish in there, but that's really it. That's my only negative. I highly recommend this figure. It's really fun. It's going to fit in perfectly with your Newage or with your Legend scale collection. So you can pick this up from Toy Dojo. That's really it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.